Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Property AI Report. My name is Mal McCallion. I'm here with the weekly update on all things property and AI technology. We're going to be looking at Rightmove's results. We're going to be checking in on the latest models from OpenAI, that's ChatGPT 4.5. We're going to dive into Alexa Plus and understand a little bit more about what that means for all of us who've got those Alexas lying around that basically just give us the time and help us to understand what the weather's going to be. And also we're going to be looking at actually Google's traffic drop and what that all means for us and for SEO. So without further ado, let us get stuck into this week's top 3 stories. Rightmove this week has revealed some strong results, as I think the city is calling it, with revenues up by 7%, profits up by 4%, number of agents up by 2%, which generally only means one thing, and that is that it is charging each and every estate agent, lettings agent, a ton more for the privilege of listing on the Rightmove site. A few quick stats for you. Essentially, Rightmove claims that its platform accounted for over 80% of all consumer time spent on UK property portals. That's a lot to do with the fact it's got so many pointless pages that you actually have to go through before you can get your search results. But anyway, the increase in average revenue per advertiser was up £93 to £1,524 per month. For estate agents, it's slightly less at 1,440, which may make you feel better if you're then looking over at the developers who are being charged 1,987. But even still, that is an absolute ton of cash. Total membership is up to 19,000 branches, with an extra 285 estate agent branches apparently jumping on board. So yes, it's really more of the same. If you've been here this time last year, the year before that, every single time it is pretty much the same story, and it's going to continue up until at least 2028, because Johan Svanstrom has told us in November 2023 that his 5-year plan is to increase estate agents' average monthly bills to £2,000. All right, so we are 1,440 of the way up there, and there's at least another 500 plus to come over the next, 3 years? So yeah, look, there's very little else to say about their particular strategy. I think a couple of interesting things that have come out over the course of the last few days. You may have heard Johan Svanstrom himself on the Today programme last Friday morning at 7:20. So if you haven't, then go back to the BBC iPlow and have a little listen. It's about 3 minutes of cringe, where essentially there's just a lot of umming and ahhing when asked directly how the portal can claim to have increased its value to agents and justify its price increases, etc. And for some reason, he just wasn't prepared for it, it seems. It's really crazy. But yeah, worth a fascinating kind of looking through your fingers, hiding behind the sofa kind of interview. But yeah, look, this is more of the same. There is going to be a continued drive by Rightmove to do this, to then justify it, or indeed not justify it on the Today programme. And we've all just got to stop talking about Rightmove as being the place that you need to advertise to the market, to vendors, to landlords, because it's increasingly not true, and that feeds directly into our second story, which is all about Google's share drop. Google's share of search drop. There's been a lot of big reports coming out from significant organizations saying that essentially the links from Google have dropped by anything between 20 to 40%. One of the kind of standouts is a company called Chegg over in the States that is suing Google because it claims that its AI overview feature, if you go on now and you search for anything, then Google's at the very top of the search results now is taken up with AI overview, that is Google's summary of what essentially the other results on its pages are. And it generally tends to have a few kind of links directly off it. As so search engine optimization, which historically used to be, make sure you've got loads and loads of keywords in there, make sure it's discoverable by Google, make sure you put it on the first page, or if possible in the top 3 organic search results. That is being said to be dead. all right? Because people just aren't going further down the page and clicking. If you are anywhere off page one, then you are essentially nowhere. That's almost always been the case. But now it seems that actually, unless you are in the AI overview results, then you are nowhere. And this also is true for ChatGPT. Me personally, I spend a lot of time searching on ChatGPT these days. I'm also, as regular listeners will know, using deep research a lot from ChatGPT. So instead of actually sitting and doing kind of property searches on any of the portals, I can ask for my favorite dream home, whether it's got sea views, it's got a skylight in the kitchen, it's got a massive garden, it's got parking spaces, those things that you can't find on the property portals. I can ask ChatGPT's deep research. It will go away and it will come back with a lovely, really nice series of links to not just the property portals, but also to estate agent websites with exactly the properties that I'm looking for listed. And it will also then tell me who this particular property is perfect for, and I can judge whether that's actually me or not. So these are things that are happening now with AI. Google has essentially grasped the bull by the horns and decided to introduce its own AI, Gemini powered. And this is really making anybody who is solely reliant on organic search at a disadvantage. Okay, again, all of the Rightmove stuff that's gone on in the past, it started to be peeled away as the AI is now going off and trying to find the right kind of information that is going to be really perfect for the person searching. Now, there's a few things that kind of come to mind here. Chegg, just to be clear, so these guys are suing Google because they're saying that their searches are being interrupted by Google's AI, down 34%. And really interesting analysis that I'll put in the show notes that shows that actually for many other sites, this is true. So the organic search is fallen off a cliff, between 20 and 40% down. However, one of these sites where this isn't true is the New York Times. And there is a theory that is going round about this, which is that essentially they've partnered with Google, that they've allowed Google to access their data directly, and therefore they are being privileged, and therefore their traffic is actually up. So they've come into the results when you ask Google a question, and that their traffic is actually up, whereas most others are down. So there is a concern that actually what this is doing is it's almost corrupted search. So essentially, if you pay enough money or if you allow your data to be searched by Google, then it will privilege you in its one-shot answers to questions that are about properties in a particular area, for example. So I think it's going to start to make searchers be quite careful about where they search, because if I think that I'm only going to get the results of a particular organization that has paid Google or is in some way transacting with Google, giving it a benefit of data, etc., then I'm not going to trust that search result as much as I might a place that doesn't have that level of let's say corrupted search in it. And you might argue that Rightmove over time and perhaps the portals over time have got a level of corruption within their search results in the same way that Google used to have, which is the ads, and therefore you have to go further down just to find the organic search results that are all of these properties within a particular price range, for example. I think it's going to be quite a challenge for people to navigate through this, and they're going to have to try and find brands where these AI search results are trustworthy and not necessarily corrupted by who gives them the most money, but actually are true results that help, that are curated in the right way. So they actually utilize, for example, a deep research product that is not going to privilege a particular agency, for example, because they've given more money or whatever, or a portal because they are paying to be at the top of these AI results. So I think it's going to be a really interesting moment, and I think there's an opportunity to actually look at what you're delivering or what you're serving up as an agent and make sure that it is something that is really appropriate and you know, it's very, very easy to find. It's got all of the right search terms in there. It's got tags in there. It understands that if it's going to be discovered by AI, then it needs to have all of these things very easy for AI to find, the different attributes of properties, for example. So as Google's search dominance starts to taper, I think we'll see similar things with the likes of Rightmove, and again, going back to a previous story, their determination to continue with the status quo, I think, is evident. They They are saying within their results at this time last week that they're recruiting a lot of technologists to try and work on various AI products and services. But let's be in no doubt, those will all be in the service of what Svanstrom has made clear is getting estate and lettings agents to pay up to £2,000 by 2028, because that's how the share price is going to be maintained. They fought off REA Group's approaches in September last year only by convincing investors that they were going to be able to rinse estate and lettings agents for more. So that's locked in. That has to happen, because otherwise its share price is going to absolutely tank, and all of the executives there whose bonuses are predicated on the share price not tanking will find themselves at less sunnier holiday destinations over the coming years. So that's not going to happen. So yes, stay tuned, strap in. Rightmove is going to continue to drive this particular business model and is going to try and sidestep whatever AI can bring. I think it's incumbent on all of us to work in this particular sphere to help to drive traffic directly to estate agent websites and make sure that whatever the vice Rightmove has in store for the market over the coming years, where it's going to try and get around this new AI tech, I think we've got to make sure that it is unsuccessful in that. Yeah, keep watching this space. We're obviously going to be making sure that we keep an eye on the market and see where we can help as well. So that's the second of our stories, Google's kind of drift in terms of its willingness to send organic traffic directly through to websites. The third story that we want to focus on this week is Alexa Plus. All right. Now, this is something that I think has been talked about and a lot in terms of Alexa promised a lot. I think I was not alone in hoping that actually I was going to be able to chat with Alexa and Alexa was going to be able to answer all of my questions, musings, random thoughts. And that was 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago, whatever it was. Now, Alexa Plus is coming and it is priced at $19.99. Although if you are a Prime customer, it's going to be free. All right, for those of us that take Prime, because it brings the things that we need instantly. You're going to benefit now from Alexa Plus. And what Alexa Plus is, it's Anthropic's Claude 3.7 inside Alexa. All right, so that is one of the cutting edge, one of the frontier large language models, the kind of ChatGPT competitors, and it's going to be baked into your Alexa. So those pointless discs that you've got lurking around the house and have had for ages, that all you can do is ask it to set a timer for 3 minutes for your eggs or whatever, find out what the weather is. Now you're going to be able to ask it some really deep questions and it is going to go and find some deep answers for you. I think that seriously, what this does is this is going to allow Alexa to understand so much more about our households. All right, it's going to understand your voice versus your partner's voice versus your kids' voices versus the TV's voice. It's going to essentially listen in. All right, and for those of a more risk-averse nature, then listen up. It's going to be listening in at all times. And you probably have wondered, as I have wondered, how come when you start talking about going on holiday, suddenly you get all of these adverts on your phone for going on holiday. This is going to be that writ large, right? It is going to understand you and your family and your desires, the shape and size of your family, whether you are about to have a baby and therefore you might need to think about moving house. It's going to suggest and recommend things for you that almost before you even know that you really want them yourselves, right? And this is, if you think about it, this is always where it was going to end up, right? This is always where it was going to drive towards, which is understanding so much more about you and therefore anticipating your needs and being able to present you with options before you even have articulated that. Now, in many ways, this can be good, right? That actually, if it is understanding that I'm going to need a particular type of property, and again, going back to our kind of dream home search, then it can really perhaps find the perfect property for us before we even know that it's something that we need. And again, I'm on record as believing that in many cases, people settle for substandard lives because they live in the wrong place. They live in the wrong house or they live in the wrong area. So this is going to help people to discover better ways of living, whether that is actually a new house or whether that is a new car or whether that is a holiday or whatever it is. But the flip side of that is it's going to know a lot about us, All right, and that data is going to be stored somewhere, in this case at Anthropic and undoubtedly with Jeff Bezos at Amazon for Amazon's Alexa. What do we want to know that we can do with that data? And there's been a lot of mockery of the EU and its almost paternalistic over carefulness around data and what people can do, what these big businesses can do with our data. But it's worth knowing where it's going. And, that there may be a moment in time where we are perhaps a little bit grateful that we can use GDPR to limit what that data can be used for to the things that we want it to be used for. So I might want Alexa absolutely 100% to save me a lot of time thinking, asking for things when it actually knows that this is probably what I want. That's great. Obviously, then that being plugged into Amazon, because obviously Amazon owns Alexa, that's going to be amazing for that business. But I use Amazon. I'm sure millions and millions, I know millions and millions of people do. And that might just mean that thing is ordered more quickly, and that's fine. But I might not want Jeff Bezos to know that I'm feeling a little bit sad today, and actually I've just had an argument with the dog. Those things might not be things that I want to share with Mr. Bezos, and therefore I'm going to be able to restrict that information to only stuff that is commercial or commerce or transactional. So yeah, Alexa Plus is going to be quite incredible. I think it may, in many ways, become almost a default way of how AI is able to understand us, react to what we feel as well as what we say. And that, I think, is going to be quite groundbreaking. And a lot of other technology is trying to do the same. Again, I've spoken before about using this BE dot computer, which is a recorder that sits on my watch and I can turn on and off, and it will record conversations that I have. It will record my day. It will understand what I'm doing, etc. But I can also turn it off. With Alexa, will you remember to turn it off? Probably not. And that probably means that you're going to find that throughout your household, there are listening devices in every room that is going to understand a lot about you as a family, possibly stuff that you don't necessarily want it to. But yes, how are you going to restrict that? And what's that going to mean for you and for us and for how we manage our lives going forwards? Again, people know I am a big fan of AI. I think that it has got the potential to be transformative in terms of just speed, people being able to do things much faster. And I think that this is going to be good. All right. I think that we need to be careful and we need to be able to turn it off when we want to. But I think it's going to really help us to harness the power of AI and build and create and work and live better as a result of the fact that this stuff is going to understand us and going to be able to help us in ways that we can't even almost imagine right now. Alexa Plus coming soon, not here yet. There's going to be a lot of talk, a lot of kind of theorizing around what it's going to mean. We're obviously going to be part of that as well. So yeah, stay tuned and see where we get to with it. We'll let you know as soon as it is up and running. All right, let's move into our quick fire round with a few very fast takes on other AI and property news that's been around this week. All right, so OpenAI has unveiled GPT 4.5. This is its Orion, is what it was called internally, and you may have heard that being referred to in terms of OpenAI. But this is 4.5. It is, as Sam Altman, the CEO, says, the last of its solo chat mission-driven AIs. The next one, ChatGPT 5, it's only a few months away, apparently. It is going to be a combination. It's going to be a hybrid model, as Claude 3.7 Sonnet, for those listening in last week will know, was the first hybrid. It's going to not force you to choose, do I want reasoning or do I want just chat? And an assistant. So ChatGPT 5 is going to combine those. 4.5, therefore, it's almost like a bit of a weird child in that it's an upgrade on ChatGPT 4.0, and it's huge and it uses a lot of compute and it's very expensive compared to the other models. But I've heard and what I've used it for has been very chatty and very friendly. It seems to be a lot more like Claude Sonnet. In terms of its willingness to use humor, its general approachableness, I found it really nice. Is it a huge difference to 4.0? Not noticeably, really, but it's good. And again, because I'm on the kind of highest tier of ChatGPT to get access to the likes of Deep Research and Operator, it's useful, it's helpful, but it is not a seismic shift in terms of my experience with ChatGPT or anything like that. So helpful, good, another kind of step up and another kind of, wow, this is incredible. But we've now been 2.5 years into ChatGPT. And yeah, it's certainly not a massive step up, unlike, for example, Deep Research or Operator, which we will talk about at length in coming weeks. So that's ChatGPT 4.5. Next, just wanted to duck into a quick story about the ability of the UK's councils to charge 100% council tax, double council tax on second homes, and what that's going to mean for those that have holiday homes and other additional homes in country locations. So there's a part of Wales where this has been announced that they are definitely going to use this. Cornwall and other areas too. So if you go to Perranporth on the North Cornish coast, many of the county's second homeowners are likely to nominate their children as the council taxpayers so that they can actually get the discounts or maintain the discounts that they have benefited from when having these second homes out in these country locations. It's going to initially, the expectation is that those that have second homes in these locations will probably miss the idea that actually you can just chuck your kids on there and they'll be fine. So that there will be a tapering over time of people using this kind of get around, this workaround, and it's going to be really difficult for the councils to actually catch it. So on the face of it, the people who have got these second homes are going to be taxed to the eyeballs for them, in addition to their own, obviously their main residences. But very quickly, there's going to be a lot of work on by tax advisors and so on to help people to put their kids on there, basically find ways around these additional taxation strategies. Again, I'm sure that once somebody has found a way around these, then there's going to be, the councils are going to find ways to try and limit that. So it's going to be a bit of cat and mouse over a period of time. But overall, I think from a community perspective over in these places, it's going to generate more revenue. It's probably going to end up with less empty housing over time. And that there will be ways that these councils will find to charge higher to those that aren't necessarily from the area or are going to be having these second homes. So I think it's going to be a story that will continue to evolve. But it was interesting to see that there is this move from those that have second homes to register their kids as being the owners of these properties to swerve some additional tax take from the local authorities. Next story: data centers on the moon. All right, there is a company called Lone Star Data Holdings that is sending a data center up to the moon, basically because it is cold up on the moon, and therefore these companies can save on cooling. So it's a really interesting idea, actually. And with the fact that there is so much cost of data, the actual compute side of things, not just because of the energy required to answer questions in AI, but also because they then need to cool the units in those data centers too. That's something that is going to increasingly be, I think, part of the data mix that we end up using. Obviously, the colonization of the moon from a humanity perspective, let alone a kind of data perspective, and also the minerals and so on that are up there, is becoming increasingly a focus. But yeah, interesting that we're now turning our eyes towards the moon for more than just minerals, more than just potentially landing humans on it, but also as a location for data centers, because economically it can make sense for that too. I think it's really interesting. Okay, going back to some AI down here on Earth, we've got an album released last week by 1,000 artists, which is essentially just an album of 12 silent songs. There's absolutely no noise in it whatsoever. It is that there's the likes of Paul McCartney, Annie Lennox, Kate Bush, Damon Albarn, Elton John, various others who have basically created this album that is all about silence. And the reason for doing that is they think AI is going to nick all of their jobs. It's going to take their data, their voices, their creations, and synthesize it into the ability for the likes of Suno, Udio to create very good bits of music using their creations in the past. Now, it's hard to sympathize too much with these very rich musicians who have been able to essentially package up their creations and protect them over time and live off the earnings from doing, in the case of ABBA, for example, I think however many albums they did, don't know enough about them, sorry, 4 albums, let's say, of however many tunes, and they've just rinsed that over time, and then they've created their Voyager big dome over in the east, over in the Olympic Village in London, where they've been able to leverage and live off the fact that they did some hard work very early on, and now they've just been able to leverage the royalties from those tunes for a long time. Is that something that we all need to worry about overall? I'm not so sure. I think actually they've lived that privileged position. They've been able to almost unionize so that they're able to block anybody from using their stuff, using copyright to do that for a long time. Is that important to protect creatives? That to an extent, I think it is, yes. But to the level that you're never going to be able to use AI on any of their stuff, I think that's a little bit overboard. I understand why they've done this. I think it's a decent effort and an important statement, but I just think that over time, we've just got to get used to the fact that a lot of AI is powered by everybody's hard work over time. It's going to give us as a community, as a society, a lot back in terms of what we're going to be able to use it for. And I think that this protectionism of particular individuals and those that are, that have that privileged position, I think is a little bit rich. And I think that AI, as we build and grow through the coming months, years, decades, is going to give back far more if we don't have all of these people just like niche insisting that they're a special case and that everybody else can go to hell. But for them, they need to protect their own stuff, and everybody else is going to have to pay attention to that. Minimal sympathy with this. I understand why they're doing it, but it's protectionism in my view. And I think that, AI is going to be able to see pretty much everything that we've done. They've already conceived very much of that, and we're going to see how that, the benefits of that for all of us as humans going forwards. All right, final quickfire story. Perplexity teases a web browser called Comet. It's going to be interesting the way that we all interact with our browsers going forwards, and Perplexity is ahead of the game here. It's creating a browser. That browser is going to enable AI to communicate with AI. It's going to enable us to create websites that are in essentially AI speak rather than necessarily for humans, because we're not going to be surfing as much, right? We're just going to be asking AI to show me the particular properties that I'm looking for, and we're going to then have these websites that are built in, they're very AI friendly and are going to be able to service and surface the data much more quickly. So Perplexity is ahead of the game here. Really interesting. We are going to see a lot more of this, and I think we should be ready for it. But it's where AI is going to go to the websites, not us humans, and therefore these websites are going to be built with AI in mind. All right, that is it for our quick fire round. Just very quickly, our tool of the week. As ever, we want to just give you one very quick tool that is going to help you in your week's work. This week is called Super Whisper. So go to superwhisper.com, and what you will find, and you can download this as an app as well, is essentially something that helps you to do 3x faster writing. All right, because you can speak 3 times as fast as you can talk. So it will essentially, all you need to do is talk into it, and the AI behind it will understand if you want to send an email to somebody, if you want to make notes, if you want to do a journal, anything that you want to be captured, you can just do it so fast. Obviously, it's great if you're on a run, if you're in the car, you're able to use this instead of having to sit and type. So superwhisper.com, really powerful tool. Go give it a play. Interested in what you think. All right, that's it for this week's Property AI Report. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back again next week with even more on the Property AI inflection points, all the stories that you need to understand what is really important for us in the property game. My name is Mal McCallion. I'll see you next week. In the meantime, have a great few days and hopefully enjoy the sunshine. All the best. Take care. Bye-bye.